I just took time to look at some of the disadvantages of a robot over human beings. And now this is one. He says that acquiring robots is very expensive and maintenance cost is also expensive, which the ordinary person cannot acquire. And then also the second one is robots.
No, but that one, hold on that one. The engagement too is expensive. The engagement and the wedding is expensive.
No, but Paul, not as compared to getting a robot as a wife.
He says it's $3,004. If it is true, $3,400. You might pay more than that for a wedding these days.
Engagement? No, the
engagement and wedding.
No, but the engagement, you don't have to necessarily do a bigger one. It's just the understanding.
No, you have to satisfy the list.
Yes. No,
have you asked for your list yet?
No, but sorry.
Have they brought you your list?
Not yet.
So when the list, when the list comes, then you say what the things you are saying.
But it's. No,
but if your list comes and there's a car inside Hyundai XL in it, what are you going to do?
Of course, I have to wait. I have to wait to achieve it. Yes,
so I'm saying that a robot is $3,000. Wedding and engagement is expensive. Somebody may say it's expensive. So robots may be cheaper.
It is expensive, Paul, but to me, it may not be expensive as you're talking about because, like I said, you don't have to necessarily have to do a bigger engagement or have to, because sometimes some of the parents can consider where you're coming from. It is understanding between both parties.
Paul, you can tell me that. That's an old story. Okay. That's my time. Today, you do wedding, you have to have photography. You know, this guy is a photographer. Then the photography is expensive. You have to have pre-something. That's what people do. And pre-something. We didn't do nothing pre-anything. You have to do pre-something. You have to buy nice clothes and go to some nice place and go and do the photography. The wedding these days, minimum, is expensive.
No, but not as compared to the robot we are talking about.
Okay.
So now these are their disadvantages over.
You're going to the second one. You're going to read the second one.
The second one is robots cannot respond to dangers in times as compared to human beings. It is how do I say it? It's organized in a certain way that may probably if the owner or the manufacturer forgets to add how it's supposed to respond to danger, unless there is fire outbreak, what is going to happen there? It means that it's going to catch fire and it cannot save anyone from catching fire or something like that. And then also was talking about empathy, emotions, and all that. But for instance, probably you are in the mood. You are in the mood to, yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? So then now, in what I read, you're supposed to key in the password.
Yes.
Before it responds to whatever you want to do.
Yes. But when you are in the mood with a wife, you have to key in the password. You're not married yet.
No,
you have to key in the password. You think it's simple, it's free. No. You have to key in the password.
No, but Paul.
And it may return a no.
No, yes. But Paul, it's
you see, Mumin is married. You see how he's laughing and this thing. No, but viewers, sorry, you cannot see Mumin. Mumin is standing right here.
No, but I think it's too much. If the thing is not in the mood, because it's one of the disadvantages was that sometimes it is not in the mood to do anything. So you key in the password and it's still stuck.
So you wait.
You wait.
It teaches you patience.
No, Paul. I think it's too much.
Okay. It's okay. We don't have much time. So I think let viewers react to it. Okay. Let's come to her. I want all the young people to have an opinion. And then Abdul and Bello, wait, I'm coming to you. Don't worry about it. All right. What's your view?
So I think he's a businessman, and so he's doing this for more profit, and also probably he's thinking for other people who think human beings are complicated, and robots.
Do you mean women are complicated or
human beings in general? Okay, because both men and women can be complicated.
Yes, that's true.
And robots can be controlled. And this robot is making, I think I learned it comes with a manual, so you can tell it what to do and what not to do. And so, my colleagues have said it all. So I think he's just thinking about the fact that human beings are complicated. So when he brings up this robot, they could satisfy human beings. Like, I tell you, I want this from you. I want that, just like my colleagues have said. Yeah, but then I also agree to the fact that morally it's not right.
Morally?
Yeah.
Okay, Mikhail.
Yeah, so the moment I heard this story, my mind went straight to Japan. This is not new. It's not the first time I've heard that somebody wants to create something. So in Japan, for a long time, they actually have an epidemic where... Am I looking this way? Mm-hmm. Okay. They have an epidemic of... should I say, antisocial behavior in the men. So what has happened for the longest time is men have lost the ability to talk to women. They don't know how to approach women in public to get a girlfriend. So they stay in their houses and they buy these video games. It's like little AI where they
Bello and Bello and Abdul. They are here. Viewers, follow me right here. Okay, where are they? All right. So they are here. So let me start with you, Abdul.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, so first of all, I'm a Muslim, and from the Muslim perspective, the marriage, or let me say sexual relations between a man and a woman, is clearly defined. And so this is something that is way out of Islam in the first place. And secondly, the most important thing you have to understand, Paul, is that I'm looking at it from the social perspective. We are in a time where we are losing the connection between real people. And so if these things are coming up, the family system is further going to be degenerated and degraded at great length. And so that is why we have so many violent people on the street, because they do not have real human connection. And so I think this is one of the challenges. So basically, I don't think you can just go buy a robot and, satisfy your sexual urges. I think
But if somebody wants to do that, are you going to kill him?
if no, not kill him. I mean,
do you want to call that a crime?
I'm not sure it's a crime. It cannot be a crime because, like a machine, you are free to do as you please with a machine of your choice, and what you buy with your money, you can do with what you have to do with it. But so it's not a crime actually, unless of course you violate the agreement upon which you bought the robot, and that one I'm sure they can retrieve the robot from you.
Let's find out from Bello. This is not security and politics, but what do you think?
Well, I think for me, I want to look at it from this perspective. First, in Africa, one of the reasons we marry is for prestige. Marriage bestows prestige on people. So if you decide to marry this robot, at a certain point in time, as an adult, you still lack that prestige that is accorded to every.
But we are trying to say to people that marriage is not prestige. It's a partnership. You can be fortunate to find a good partner. If you make it prestige, then those members of the society who are not married, you want to call them lower than those who are married?
Well, that is an ideal perspective. But in reality, in African society, marriage comes some form of prestige. And then also, even
for both the man and the woman.
Yeah. And then within this week, there was this hearing at the US Senate, whereby ChatGPT CEO himself called for regulation. So there's a lot of uncertainty around AI also. So even with that, I'm still wondering, how will this whole robot fit into the system? Would the regulation enhance the development of these sort of things? Or would the purported or expected regulation still go a long way to undermine the reality of this kind of thing? So for me, a lot of uncertainty around it. And also the fact that...
Do you think it's a sin?
Well, as a Muslim, it's against my religion automatically. And then also...
What is against your religion?
I mean, this kind of marriage with this kind of thing, Islam clearly defines what marriage is, who you can marry.
Well, it's not marriage. He's not going to perform a marriage ceremony. He's going to keep the robot as if it were a wife. They're not going to have any marriage ceremony.
And in that case, it is because you are refusing to marry. And marriage in Islam itself is compulsory.
So if one has a wife but has a robot in his office, is that okay?
Then you also, because do you have divided attention? Who do you pay attention to, your wife or the robot? Depend on.
No, the robot is in his office like his computer, like the way your laptop is in your office or your desktop computer is in your office.
So what's the essence of
he uses the robot for all of those things that the robot is being designed for, as though the robot were a wife. But he has a wife, and he goes out with the wife, and he goes to church with his wife, or he goes to the mosque with his wife. He has children and all that. But he has this in his office. Is that a sin?
This kind of sounds like artificial cheating.
Artificial cheating. Okay. All right. Let our viewers tell us what they think on the social media. Please put the photos of Elon Musk back again. By the time you finish looking at those photos, I'm back in front of the touch screen, and then we'll be dealing with that. So I'm coming back in the touch screen. Let's see Elon Musk photographs. But that's an interesting conversation. Get your text messages to Good Evening Ghana Official. We are continuing the program now. I'm going back. Tell Kweku that we're going to Nyantakyi. I made that sign because they reminded me of this one, and I had forgotten about it. So I wanted to tell to Selena, Nana Celine. Please, I'm so happy with what you've written about me on social media. Can you write more, Selena? Can you write more? I'm so excited. So this is what Selena wrote. She said, Selena Nana Celine is feeling impressed. This is after Thursday's program. She said, all jokes aside, Paul Adomotri is one intelligent man, a fantastic communicator who is able to employ the interest of his viewers from start to finish of his program. I'm truly impressed. Oh, that's so nice. Selena Nana. You see, the reason why I paused to say Nana, I'm always reading Nana as if it's Nana, because Selena is a woman's name. So it's it's Selena Nana Celine is feeling impressed. All right. Thank you very much, Selena. There's another flyer, poster that I want to show viewers at 10 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. This one. The people who have been calling on us to be like Rwanda, okay, and we have been telling them that we cannot be like Rwanda. And Rwanda is a shining example, all that. See what's happening in Rwanda. They have called Sir David to build them, guess what? A cathedral for Kigali. Paul Kagame has called Sir David that, what is Ghana saying about you? Don't worry, Sir David, hurry up, take a plane, come to Kigali, hurry up. And they are building a cathedral in Rwanda. And they are building it with taxpayers' money. They are building it with taxpayers' money because Kagame has taken the decision that as he's getting ready to exit, he needs to put the cathedral inside the ground of the country of Rwanda. He believes that that will begin many changes. So here's a story. There's a story over there. They'll put the story that yes, this is the poster. It's from Francis Frimpong. It says, renowned architects appointed to design new Kigali Cathedral in Rwanda. A word to the wise. It's enough. We will say no more. But this cathedral matter, let's get deep into our spirit as young people or middle-aged people, as we have become. We are no longer young. And think whether we don't need this for the future much. Some of us believe we do, and we will dedicate all the strength in our spirits, in our soul, to make sure that Ghana receives a cathedral in Accra. Inside the earth, inside the ground of Ghana, there should be a deliberate effort to create something for the God of Abraham. A word to the wise is enough. Okay, so now we have the first big story. This is Quayson Nyantakyi, and this is Aremeyaw Anas, and I've been very worried about the whole Anas situation after I saw him lose a case, the land case, and then I saw him lose the Agyapong one, fundamentally because he won't testify without his mask. And then I saw him lose the land case. I guess that may have also been part of it. In the land case, the judge makes similar disparaging remarks about him and says that he should go and pay 100,000, and then he has lost the case and he has lost the land. And then the people are writing all sorts of things, increasingly deciding that I cannot take off my mask, which is what he should be doing because he wants to protect his image, is what is creating the problem. People are worried around that where in the world is there an investigative journalist who is covering his face, and what was all that about, etc. Now the High Court has ruled. Let me show you first the land case. Involving Aremeyaw Anas. This is the story. It says, court rules against Anas in land fraud case, slaps him with 100,000 cedi fine. Now it says land fraud. It's not even good for that kind of word to be used relating to Anas, but here it is. A high court in Accra has fined Aremeyaw Anas 100,000 cedis for land grabbing, unlawful trespassing, and use of land gas to intimidate the legitimate landowner, one Adolf Tete, whose ownership Anas disputed as fraudulent. In a case brought before the High Court presided over by Justice Kwame Jemfiose over a 2-acre disputed land at Chado, taken over by Aremeyaw Anas in 2017, the court found Anas liable for trespassing and illegally building on someone's land. In quote, using police and land guards day and night to brazenly deny plaintiff from the use of land. This is not good at all. This is not good. This is not good at all. And if Anas is suffering these things because he cannot show up in court with his open face, That's a problem that we need to discuss. Because the kind of words and I said that this judge used disparaging remarks against Anas. The first judge said that he was an investigative terrorist because he didn't show up. I'm guessing that here too he didn't show up. And because he can't take off his mask, he doesn't show up. So I'm building you to why now the court is telling him that in Quayson Nyantakyi, we agree, you don't have to show up, but Quayson Nyantakyi must look at your face. You have to take off that mask for him and his lawyers. If Quayson Nyantakyi shows up with 8 lawyers, all the 8 lawyers are going to look at his face. That's 9 people plus the judge, 10 who have seen his face. So, well, okay. See what the judge says. It says, the court found Anas liable for trespassing. Okay, that means he just went on somebody's land. Illegally building on someone's land, that happens all the time to different people. You may not know you are building illegally, but this is the concern. And the court writes that in quotes. Using police. I am thinking the Inspector General of Police should be interested in this story. When a High Court judge has said that an ordinary citizen, as it were, is using police to foster his, to brazenly deny somebody of land, using police. I don't know whether the IGP has looked at this and he has seen it, and that he needs to find out and come and tell us, the people in Ghana, that he has read the judge's report, he has looked at the situation and no police were used, and then we can be satisfied and go to bed. But if he keeps silent, if the police hierarchy is silent about this, that is worrying. Because the judge says the journalist has used police. As for land guards, they are there. You can have some, I can have some. I can be your land guard, you can be my land guard. It's okay, that's a joke anyway. But land guard is not complicated. But the police, the regular police maintained by the taxpayer, are also applied by an ordinary citizen to go to Chado and protect his land and brazenly take it from the plaintiff. These are not our words. These are the words of a High Court judge. A judge of the Superior Court of Judicature, the Inspector General of Police has not seen this. We will keep reminding the police that they have to come and explain this matter. How is it true? How did the judge even come to that conclusion? Who presented that evidence? How was it assessed? How do we know? And the judge writes this almost a week, and the police have said nothing about it. I reckon any police anywhere in the world would have quickly responded. This is a serious matter. So we must hear something from the police. I'm guessing that perhaps they're investigating. That's my guess, because we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm guessing that they're investigating, but I hope it doesn't take that long. All right. The case continues. In his defense, Anas told the court the said Adolf Tete's claim of ownership of the land was tainted by fraud. Okay. The courts, after examination of all the facts, concluded that the law will not permit anyone to allege fraud without proving same beyond reasonable doubt. That is the problem of Anas. That's the problem. Because he has to come and go through the process of the evidence to establish the matter that he's saying. And because he's pleading a criminal offense, he's required to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. But the guy is not going to show up in the court because he doesn't want you to see his face. And if he's not going to show up in the court, then the court is going to rule against him. And that's why the court is saying that the law will not permit anyone to allege fraud without proving it. So they are telling us that the allegation of fraud that you rendered in your documents against the guy you are fighting over the land with, that allegation of fraud will not be taken by the court hook, line, and sinker. It has to be proved. And because you have alleged something that's criminal, your standard of proof is beyond reasonable doubt. But he won't show up, so he's not there, so the court continues. Here's the story. One would also not be permitted, the judge says, to win the sympathy of the court by alleging fraud against his adversary without proving same beyond reasonable doubt. The landowner, the said Adolf Tete, said the disputed parcel of land is covered by the land title certificate number so and so. Adolf Tete informed the court his sublessor has also always been in effective possession of the land and had registered it in 2007 under the land title certificate number GA2639393. The sublessor also acquired the land with title certificate number so and so, with photocopies of the said land title so and so, the land title certificate number all presented in the court. Adolf Tete said Aremeyaw Anas' claim of customary grant of the land to him by a certain Ga family was merely a ploy to deceive the court. The plaintiff told the court that Anas showed up one day and caused a signpost to be erected on the land with the inscription Tiger Eye Property. 1 minute to 10 o'clock. 1 minute to 10 o'clock. Okay, I go on. Keep off, that was the last expression in the signpost. And also employ the services of land guards to purportedly provide security for his unlawful construction works. Court ruling. The court ordered Anas Aremeyaw Anas to vacate the disputed land and to pay 60,000 cedis in general damages and 40,000 cedis in legal costs to Adolf Tete, who adduced evidence to prove that he acquired the land legally and was about to build when Anas Aremeyaw Anas showed up. The court said it was perpetually restraining Anas Aremeyaw Anas, his servants, agents, assigns, workmen, and all those claiming through him from entering, carrying out any construction works or interfering with all that piece or parcel of land in any manner whatsoever, or disturbing the plaintiff's peaceful occupation and possession of same. Tiger IPI property controversy in courts. Anas Aremeyaw Anas filed a motion to oppose the inclusion of Tiger IPI in the suit, as it was not an owner of the property, but the plaintiff resisted and said Tiger IPI should be in the suit. Adolf Tete told the court that when Anas seized the land in dispute, Anas caused to be erected a signpost with the property of Tiger IPI keep off. According to Adolf Tete, that is why he added a company to the court case, because the signpost said his land was being claimed by Tiger IPI. The court removed Tiger IPI from the suit, while the second defendant sued with Anas failed to enter appearance or show up. The second defendant, Holy Quay, is the person Anas claimed to have bought the land from. Oh, and Holy Quay, who Anas claimed to have bought the land from, refused to show up in the court. So it's not just Anas who didn't show up. Quay also didn't show up. From the evidence, the plaintiff was in possession of the land until the first defendant brazenly entered same and started construction day and night with the help of police and land guards. The construction he erected on the land is clearly unauthorized. Any prudent purchaser is required to do due diligence before acquisition. But in the case of the Anas, the first defendant, from the evidence, did nothing like that. He entered the land and erected a signpost, Tiger IPI, keep off. When an application was brought to join Tiger IPI to this suit, he resisted, claiming the said entity has no interest in the land. His claim to the disputed land has no basis in law, and in fact, I get it, but the Anas's lawyer should have sorted it out. If you know that you had erected a signpost and you've written Tiger IPI, and the other guy, the plaintiff, goes to court and says, I'm suing Anas because I hear he comes there, and Tiger IPI, and then Anas comes and says, take Tiger IPI out. And they say, why? I say, Tiger IPI has no interest. So why did you put a signpost that is Tiger IPI property? I mean, his lawyer should have reconciled that very quickly. That, hey, we can't say that because it will go against us. I don't know anything, but I mean, I'm not sure why this should happen. Okay, let's go on. Finishing soon. Trespass is an injury against possession. Hence, the first defendant is liable. In trespass, damages are large, and there will be the need to award damages to commensurate with the circumstances of this case. This is the second time in a matter of weeks in which the court has found the investigative journalist liable for one wrong or the other, after another court ruled in favor of Kennedy Agyapong against the journalist. And this is from My News Ghana. Yeah, that's the worrying part. The second time a court has found against Anas Aremeyaw Anas. And now we get to the big story, the Quayson Nyantakyi story, about what is happening. So we know the story, and I'm really wondering how this is going to happen. I mean, I have to declare my bias when I'm come to treat this story. In this particular story, I support Quayson Nyantakyi. I've said that 100 million times. So my bias is already established. Quayson Nyantakyi is my man. I support him. I think it's great for Ghana football. I mean, right now, we look at Ghana football, nobody can tell me that Quayson Nyantakyi did not do great for Ghana football. You could have said that 4 years ago. You could have said that when the Anas story broke, but you cannot say that now, given what we have seen. He's been the best FA president that we've had since Ohene-Jan, and nothing can change that. Hopefully, we get a better one. But if we have to get a better one, we still think that we still need Quayson Nyantakyi's input in our football going forward, so that we can get to the promised land where he had started. So for that reason, I am Quayson Nyantakyi biased. Now let's get to the story. So Anas Aremeyaw Anas published a video. So with this kind of information, we can draw our conclusions better than we could have done in 2020 when the story broke, or was it 21 when the story broke? So that's what we know now. The sheikh who was interviewing Quayson Nyantakyi and then giving him money is the same sheikh that was interviewing Charles Edubwai. Okay, all right. Now, the story about Quayson Nyantakyi is that the whole story, after we have heard from all the angles, and I took a big interest in this story. You remember, I went to see Kwesi's wife, I interviewed her, and all that. The big matters from the whole story is that, first of all, the most worrying, there was an attempt to extract $150,000 from Quayson Nyantakyi so that the story will not be shown. We don't know who was behind that, but that's the first worrying part, and that actually happened. The next thing is that Quayson Nyantakyi had gone to Dubai. The film we saw was not his first time in Dubai. He had gone to Dubai several times, and he had gone to Dubai on the invitation of this same sheikh, and he had gone to Dubai to go and find sponsorship for Ghana football, which is his regular work. That's his full-time work. So he traveled to Dubai in expectation of receiving sponsorship for the local league, and we had been putting a lot of pressure on Kwesi that Ghana football is not about black stars only, it's not like get us the house protocol working, and he had been concerned about it. So he was going to get the sponsorship for the local league so that the local league will pick up. Out of that, we can get our black stars working. He is interested in local league because he had a club, Wa All Stars. So Wa All Stars will do better as well. So this was his focus. The guy takes a plane and goes to Dubai, and we understand that in the first instance, he missed no one. Then he goes to Dubai again with an African president who was contesting for elections at the time, who is president now. This African president is connected to Quayson Nyantakyi. So the Dubai people say that bring this African president and then we'll give him money for his campaign. Quayson Nyantakyi flies in with the African president to the same Dubai hotel. No show. Nobody comes up. So he goes back, apologizes to the guy who is campaigning, he's president now, and then they get away with it. And then another call comes. So Quayson Nyantakyi's guy, the Regional Football Association chairman in Tamale, main guy, Abu, I think is his name. He had introduced him to me at Alisa Hotel some time back. We were watching football, and he was telling me that Paulus, Abu is my man, and something like that. I remember that. So when his wife was telling me Abu, I thought I knew who he was. Nice guy. So Abu had then met Swale. We're finding out about Swale. May he rest in peace, unfortunately. And Swale had introduced, Abu had introduced Swale to Quayson. And then they had gone to Dubai. So Quayson knows Swale, and they all went to Dubai for this process. Then the sheikh, according to Quayson's side of the story, which I'm sure the court now has, the sheikh says to Quayson that how much money have you spent on coming here and going back so far? Quayson mentions some figure. And then the sheikh throws the money at him. That this is for your transport. According to the story from Quayson's side, that's what it is. And then he takes the money. Then they continue the conversation. He comes to Ghana, tries to reach them again. Bang, bang. The phone doesn't go through. Email, boom, closed. Everything, bang. Then somebody comes to him and said, were you in Dubai last year? Something. He said, oh yeah, I was. The sheikh, do you know him? He said, hey, they filmed you. It was Anas. So when they were giving you the money, they filmed you. Charlie, you are in serious trouble. If you see the video, Quayson, why did you do that? He said, what did I do? The guy, the straight guy, he says I should say, hey, this one don't talk. If they play this video, because you are finished. Hey, this one don't talk. The guy said they want 150. So I beg you, wherever you find it, this one there. So apparently he pays the 150. The 150 goes back and comes back, and it comes on one leg and it's coming on one hand and all that story. I'm not competent to stand here to say that story, the backstory, but there's something like that. So he's waiting for his doomsday. That's what Quayson Nyantakyi was reduced to. He was waiting for his doomsday. A video is going to be shown and it's going to doom him out. He was just waiting for that. So he starts talking to people, senior people in society, senior religious leaders. He goes to them, tells them, I've done nothing wrong. This is what happened. And they say they are going to show this video. Everybody tries to reach everybody reaching the people and all that. He was just waiting for doomsday. Doomsday comes. We see the video. People are excited. Pressure is put on governments to get the GFA to get him out. People are interested and excited about that. Yes, they want Quayson out. He should go. Because so that they can come. Something like that. So that happens. FIFA this, FIFA that. Years down the line, we watch the Charles Edouboin video. And after the Charles Edouboin video, the sentiments of people walking out of the conference center was anger. What is this? What is this? Yes. So a judge says, I am going to deal with this case. Comma for comma, full stop to full stop. Cross the T's, dot the I's. Everything must be sorted out because we need to have a standard in this country. That judge is now saying to Anas, you have to take off your face. Now, to the story. The president of the Ghana Football Association, Quayson Nyantakyi, sued undercover investigative journalist Anas in 2018 on grounds that Anas' secret recording of their conversations, as well as publishing same, violates his Nyantakyi's fundamental human rights to privacy and confidentiality in his dealings with others. When it came to matters of testimony, Anas prayed the court to allow him to testify in a disguise for the purpose of security. However, lawyers for Quayson Nyantakyi argued that the basis of natural justice was to give an accused person to face his accuser. Also, Mr. Nyantakyi has to be sure that the person who is going to give testimony in court is the same person who dealt with Mr. Nyantakyi in the supposed football expose. The court, in its ruling, noted that it is in the interest of justice that where the liberty of a citizen is at stake, that such a person is given the needed facilities to defend themselves. It noted that Anas is a principal witness in the determination of the case. His identity, it pointed out, becomes crucial to allow the accused to identify him and to be able to defend himself. The court said Anas has been seen in public addressing the media while wearing his bead mask, and this shows that he was comfortable appearing in public while disguising himself. The court therefore issued the following orders on how the case should proceed. Investigative journalist Aremeyaw Anas will testify against former GFA President Quayson Nyantakyi in open court but disguised in a mask. Mr. Nyantakyi will, however, have the opportunity to see his face in chambers before such testimony. That's the end of the matter. So we'll keep our eyes on that matter and see how it goes. At 12 minutes past 10 o'clock, we still have a story on Jechi Quayson in Parliament to talk about, but we will now like to take the text messages on everything that we've been doing so far, from Elon Musk to everything. Let's see what people are saying. As I take my seat, get some water, get a breather. I start with you, Fatih. What are people saying?
All right, so coming from Bernard Danso, she says, good evening, Paul. Good evening, Paul. Honorable Kennedy Agyapong did a documentary on Who Watches the Man. I realized that Anas has lost his credibility. It's high time Anas takes off his mask. Coming from Emmanuel Chum, Mr. Quayson Nyantakyi is one of the greatest assets this country will ever have. Look at the level he rose up to in the football fraternity. And lastly, from Charles Edu, I'm happy for supporting Honorable Kennedy Agyapong since he started exposing Anas for his entrapment activities. And I'll take my last message from Tofik. Well, that is going on in this country. People are using police to brutalize people on their land. Antoinette.
Okay, so Alhaji Bob City says, Apostle Paul, Assalamu alaikum and good evening to you and everyone watching this educative program. Paul, this Anas guy has destroyed many homes and families. His investigation has done a lot more harm than good. In the years back, he was able to deceive many Ghanaians, including me. But as time goes by, we are waking up from our sleep. You give him bribe and you are free. You refuse to pay the bribe. Your video is telecasted with documentary following instead of the original conversation. May God protect everyone from this scammer and his group of hangers. Salam to Eko Vincent Esefwa. Samuel Deborah says, Atabena says, he who calls equity must come with clean hands. Posterity will judge this Anas guy one day. Alhaji says, and one of his signs is that he created for you spouses from among yourselves, so that you may find comfort in them. And he has placed between you and compassion and mercy. Surely in this are signs for people who reflect. This is from one of the chapters in the Quran, and he's speaking on the matter of the robot's wife. Eric Kofi Eswaku says, I am a pastor and I'm always just shaking my head at the great opposition that some section of the Ghanaian populace met the National Cathedral project with. The truth is, we may never know the significance of this cathedral until we leave the earth. How sad. Over to you, Nanabi.
All right, this is coming from Thomas Osam Pinanko Senior. I always love watching this program because I always learn new things. And this is coming from Osir Richard. He says that, Paul, the purpose of man on earth is to procreate in order to fulfill God's promise to Moses. Doing anything contrary is against God's will for man. This is coming from Yabua Vicent. He says that because they knew God and didn't recognize Him, God has given them over to a reprobate mind. How can you replace God's divine union between a man and a woman to a man and a robot? Indeed, this generation needs God intervention. This one is coming from David Kabil Agenda. He says that, hello Paul, is this robot going to work and support you, help you train your kids, and above all, how will an African man introduce such a wife to his family? Over to you, Mikhail.
Right. So Richard Baselfe says it's fascinating for him to be masked in court because he will be facing a judge, and it is at a minimum rude to cover your face in front of a judge. Hiding faces in court is a clear violation of the Constitution, which calls for an open legal process. The court has other means to protect the identity of people who might be at risk to the public for whatever reason besides wearing a mask. Now, Akwisi watching us from Kumasi says, the police CID does serious investigations, but they don't hide their faces. The Chief Justices of our recent past have serious questions to answer for allowing Anas to hide his face in court, thereby reducing our justice system to that of a banana republic. Who is Anas at all that they are pampering him like this? Haven't they heard that he is an investigative terrorist? Well, Master Planner Jr. says, from Quran chapter 30:21, and of his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them. And he placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are the signs for a people who give thought. Key statement here is created for you from yourselves mates. Is a robot for yourself a mate? Kamal Amasaman Brony says, Paul, Nemesis is beginning to catch up with Anas Aremeyaw, and soon the innocent people he brought down will get compensation from natural justice. Greetings to Honorable Afrifa MP, Mensa MP for Amasaman constituency. And lastly, from Kaswa Republic, this message goes, Paul, I have nothing useful to add than to say I fully support the claim that Anas Aremeyaw Anas must unmask himself during proceedings in court. He ends by saying, hashtag I stand with Quayson Nyantakyi. Back to you.
Okay. Have an interesting program, and we're 17 minutes past the top of that, 10 o'clock. Now we go to our next big political story, and it's about what has happened in Parliament. What has happened in Parliament. Before then, though, we will we do have a break, don't we? Let me take the Alhaji Bawumia's photographs, and then we take the break. You know that Dr. Bawumia is one of my favorite politicians. I'm sure people know that. And last Tuesday, when I was going through the photographs at the funeral of the wife of my learned professor, Michael Quay, we somehow mixed up the photographs, and I didn't get the opportunity to show viewers how Dr. Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia and his glorious wife Samira supported Professor Okwe at the funeral with their presence. This is Dr. Bawumia and Samira in there. Again, you see Dr. Bawumia and Samira. I believe the chief of staff is the one next to them. Here is Gabiocho Dako and his wife. This is Samira, Hajia Samira. So they were all at the event, and President Akufo-Addo and Samira behind it. They were all at the event to see off the wife of Professor Mike Okwe. 19 minutes past the top of that. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will do the story. You can miss that. We're going to tell you the background to the Asin North story. We're going to look at the by-election and see what role who will play. Is a contest between who and who. Clearly, as we said in the flyer, is a round one contest to the prelude of the 2024 election. This looks like a seat that NDC sort of have a better control over it if you look at the record that we'll be showing you. And so if the NPP can grab it from the NDC because the NPP is in power and all that, it will show that the things are potent for 2024. If, however, President Mahama and his people go into the constituency and are able to deliver victory, it will show the resilience of the NDC and their readiness for 2024. So we're going to make all of those predictions when we come back from the break. So we are not about to finish now. It's Good Evening Ghana is live after the break. We'll be right here.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Dummy dribbles to the right. He's got an opportunity on the edge of the penalty box. He's gone past the defense. This must surely be it. It's in. It's a goal.
With only 150 pesos, you can win up to 16.5 million Ghana cedis in the Betway at Nyantakyi jackpot. A jackpot muhine. Responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Damfa, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Move it, move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own Bosu landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free
some juice. We are good to go with the next story. The next story is one that will take us to the touchscreen. It's a political story again, and it is here that I said that tonight I'll be paying tributes to one member of parliament, and here he is, Alexander Afenyo Markin, the member of parliament for Winneba. Alexander Afenyo Markin. There's a reason why I'm paying tribute to this guy, because when we all attended Parliament that day, those of us who were in Accra, we didn't know what had happened elsewhere. And this is on the 9th of the 7th of January 2021. So we attended Parliament to see the inauguration and the election of the Speaker. In fact, I was graciously invited to be on CTFM. I thank them for that invitation. And I was on City TV that night, speaking with Richard Sky and others. And I was saying that Professor Michael Quay is going to be elected speaker because we were aware of the 137, 138, 137, 137, and plus the 138. And I was of the view that the MPP will know that they have to cast 138 votes. Somehow they didn't know, but I thought they would know. So they didn't cast 138 votes to elect Speaker Michael Quay, which has cost them significantly. So I'm sure next time they will know. However, Afanyo Markin, when he started speaking that day, said that one member of parliament sitting in the chamber ought not to be here. So I was taken aback. I remember I sat up there in the press gallery with all the journalists. So I was asking the Ghana News Agency guy who sat in front of me, but what is he talking about? And he said, wait, let's listen. And then I was asking the Joy FM people, what's Afanyo talking about? Everybody said, let's listen. He said, there's no speaker at the time, so the clerk is presiding. And he says to the clerk that there's somebody who doesn't have to be here. Quayson, a high court in Central Region, has ruled against him. And the preliminary matter has been found against him, that at the time that he filed his nomination, he was not qualified to do so under the Constitution because he has citizenship issues. Afanyo Markin made that point. And then he sent the documents to the clerk and convinced the clerk that this was the position. Now, here the clerk, going back to that night, responding to Afanyo Markin's interjection in Parliament on the 9th of 7th January, ahead of the election of the speaker. This is what the clerk said, and it generated confusion that triggered throughout the whole night and ended up in the morning with the election of Alban Sumano Kingsford Bagbin. Later on, we'll talk about the legal implications of the MP when he conducted the vote or not. That's an interesting matter. But here, this clerk now, clerk of parliament, responding to our friend Afanyo.
It is hereby ordered that James Quayson, James Quayson, first respondent hearing, is hereby restrained from holding himself out as a member of parliament elect. Member of Parliament elect for the Asin North constituency within the Central Region of the Republic of Ghana, and further presenting himself to be sworn in as a Member of Parliament elect. As such, until the final determination of the petition filed against him by the applicant here, given under my hand and seal of the High Court at Cape Coast, 6th day of January 2021.
Thank you, Afanyo. It's taken us 2 years to come to the place where we should have been. Nothing against Quayson. He's a nice guy, comes from Canada, goes through the process. But we know that he's not the first victim of this. Adamu Sakande actually even was jailed. And I'm sure no one is going to jail Quayson. I'm sure they will not push that agenda. But in the case of Adamu Sakande, who is MPP, who was Member of Parliament for Boku, he was actually jailed for filing his nomination at the time he ought to have known that he had a British citizenship. He was removed from Parliament and he was jailed. And he died. So Quayson will not be the first. He has a far better outcome, because as a nation, we have learned not to do certain things the way we have to do it. So everybody knew that Quayson's continued presence in Parliament was a problem. We could have conducted this by-election that we are now talking about a long time ago, but it is just the appreciation of some members, the way in which they appreciated the matter, the way in which they saw it, the angles with which they looked at the ruling of the clerk. If they have all looked at it the same way, or the way that the Supreme Court has now looked at it, we would have not been in all that situation, because this was a single event that triggered the tempest of the night, that gave Ghana's parliament a bad name around the world for the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic. This was it. This was what triggered it. This ruling that was resisted by the minority side. It was fiercely resisted. It's that resistance that carried on throughout the night, and then everything that happened. Okay, let me get to the story right now, and then I'll start with what did the court say. So here are the facts. In July 2021, Mr. Ankama Nifa won a judgment at the Cape Coast High Court nullifying Mr. Quayson's election on the basis that the MP held Canadian citizenship at the time he filed to contest the seat. He then went to the Supreme Court in January this year for an interpretation of Article 94(2)A, the same constitutional provision that the High Court used to nullify Mr. Quayson's election. His basis for going to the Apex Court was that despite the judgment by the High Court, Mr. Quayson still continued to carry himself as an MP. At the High Court on December 30, 2020, Mr. Ankama filed a parliamentary election petition at the Cape Coast High Court challenging the eligibility of Mr. Quayson to be an MP. Okay, the court upheld the petition and on July 28, 2021 declared Mr. Quayson's election as void on the basis that he owed allegiance to another country other than Ghana, contrary to Article 94(2) of the 1992 Constitution. The court, presided over by Justice Kwesi Boakye, ordered the Electoral Commission to organize a new election in the constituency. At the Court of Appeal, Honorable Quayson prayed the court to throw out a judgment by a Cape Coast High Court which declared his election as a parliamentarian null and void. Presiding Judge Irene Charity Labi said on Tuesday, 22nd March 2022, that Mr. Judge Quayson did not comply with the court directive that he makes his written submission available within 21 days from the time of filing the application in October last year. Mr. Nifa sought an interpretation of Article 94. So this at the Supreme Court. At the Court of Appeal. So viewers, let me just do a quick roundup. So at the High Court, Mr. Nifa filed against Mr. Quayson and he won. Mr. Nifa was concerned that Mr. Quayson, having lost the case, is still holding himself out as a member of parliament and continuing to participate in parliamentary proceedings. He therefore sought an interpretation at the Supreme Court in terms of the article that had been used. In the meantime, Mr. Quayson went to Court of Appeal to try and challenge or change the High Court decision. His lawyer was Mr. Chikata. The Court of Appeal said that they had asked him to come and file his submission within 21 days of filing his appeal. So he files the appeal. He knows he has 3 weeks to file the submission. He doesn't, and the court throws him out. And so now the Supreme Court matter is what is going to settle this. So let's hear what the Supreme Court said. At the Supreme Court, Mr. Nifa sought an interpretation of Article 94 of the Constitution, which provides for the prevention of an individual having allegiance to two different countries from being MPs. The court held as follows: that upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 94(2)A, the decision of the second defendant, which is the Electoral Commission, to permit the first defendant, James Quayson, to contest the parliamentary election of Asin North when the first defendant, Quayson, had not shown evidence of the cancellation of his citizenship of Canada, is an act which is inconsistent with and violates Article 94(2)A of the 1992 Constitution, unquote. So this is what the Court of Appeal said. This is what the Supreme Court has said, and the Supreme Court gave this in a unanimous decision held in Accra the other day. Let's go to which Supreme Court judges handed down this ruling. And the court was led by Justice Jones Joche, one of the judges who will be sadly bowing out of the court sometime this year. They'll be bowing out of the court. Justice Doche is retiring. Thank you very much, sir. You've done a wonderful job for Ghana. Justice Doche was the president of this court. Justice Aremeyaw Anas, who will be on the court for a while. Good evening, madam. You're doing a good job for Ghana. Aremeyaw Anas was also on the court. Justice Nena Megache, Ofoya Megache, was also on the court. And this is the new CJ, Justice Tokonu, who was also on this particular panel. Welcome to the job, madam. We wish you the best. This is Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, who was also on the panel. Good evening, madam. This, I believe, is Barbara Kayensu, who was also on the panel of the Supreme Court. Quite a lot of them. Oh, this is Justice Kulendi. That's a major panel. Very, very solid panel. Justice Yoni Kulendi was also there. This is the lawyer for the Nifa, the guy who challenges, and this is lawyer Frank Davis, quite well known, a big member of the Greater Accra Bar and the National Bar, and also used to be constituency chairman of Lara Dekotupon for the New Patriotic Party. Frank Davis is currently the chairman also of the Ghana Road Transport Authority. Okay, Mr. Chikata also represented Mr. Quayson in most of the cases. So that's the story about Mr. Quayson. Let's get on to now talk about the politics of it. What are the political implications? Oh, sorry, I think that I need to go through this. The minority leadership responding to the matter. A statement on Supreme Court ruling directing Parliament to remove Honorable James Quayson. These are two forces speaking. The Minority Caucus has become aware of the Supreme Court's decision invalidating the nomination, election, and subsequent swearing in of Honorable James Quayson, Member of Parliament for Asin North, as being unconstitutional and of no legal effect, and subsequently directing Parliament to expunge his name from its records. It is important to place on record that as at the time of his election, Honorable James Quayson was not a dual citizen. Neither was he a dual citizen by the time he took the oath of office as a member of Parliament. Those are correct. The intention of the framers of Ghana's constitution is not to allow a dual citizen to perform the functions of a member of Parliament. It is therefore baffling that the Supreme Court could direct the removal from Parliament of such a person who has been duly elected as a member of Parliament. While we are yet to study the reasoning of the court in making its decision, it appears to be a slap in the face of our democracy and the rule of law. We shall inform the public of our position upon reviewing the reasoning of the court in arriving at its decision. We urge our rank and file to be calm while we pursue all legal avenues to ensure that justice is served. That's from Kaysel Atoforsen, Dr. Kaysel Atoforsen, I should say. He is the minority leader. Okay, so that's the NDC's response. Now let's go to now. So this is naturally going to create a political system. Okay, so Madam, check it from J.T. Quayson's photograph. We are doing a new story. Sorry, viewers, I'm just giving a signal to one of our people. So the J.T. Quayson story, is going to create what we call the first round of a prelude to the 2024 election. Naturally, especially now that the NDC has finished its election of its presidential candidate, so there's no ambiguity about who is the leader of the NDC right now ahead of 2024. It's John Dramani Mahama. So this is his challenge. Now I'm going to show you the data from J.T. Quayson's constituency to show you that it's a constituency that the NDC have an edge, sort of. We'll look at it so you see it. Then we can make predictions into the future. Now the other thing is this: Kennedy Agyapong, who's been touting his numbers as the guy to be the MPP leader, is the member of Parliament for the border constituency, Asin South. Now, so people are going to look at it this way. You say you are almighty Kennedy Agyapong. You say you are the real McCoy of politics. This is the constituency border to you. In 2020, the MPP lost it, but you won. Now, this is a by-election. Show the MPP that you can deliver it. If you cannot deliver this constituency in a by-election for the MPP, then what is all this? I've given you the party million, I've given you the party. What is it about? This is the most important. This is the crucial moment. Kennedy Agyapong, show your crutchy powers. Tell the MPP that leave this for me. I will deliver it. And when I do it, you people will know that I should be your flag bearer. If I can deliver this, I will deliver all the 275. That's Kennedy Agyapong's campaign mantra. That's what it ought to be. He is there. The thing has fallen on his lap. He has to go and deliver. So everyone is going to focus on him and see how this turns out. He has not spoken about a by-election in Asin North yet, but we are waiting to see how he positions himself, and that will give us a sense of whether the MPP think they can win this or not. Who are the other important people in there? President Mahama. He's just been elected as a NDC flag bearer, and people are saying this and that. This is an NDC seat. In fact, President Mahama had commented on the Supreme Court ruling. Now, he would have this an NDC seat. If they go in the by-election and NDC loses it, the first election that is testing his capacity for 2024, he cannot lose it. He has to win it. So this is going to be a big issue. It's going to be a big battle. It is about, so the election has nothing to do with Asin North anything anymore. The election has now thrown out different dimensions and different contests. Proxy contest though, but different contests of different dimensions. President Mahama has to win this thing. He cannot assume the throne of the NDC and then the first by-election which the NDC had, the seat the NDC held, he loses it. Yay, no way. So he has to win. Big deal. Okay, let's move on with the story. We talk about Agyapong again. Here, Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia is looking at this and says, no way. He is being touted as the next MPP presidential candidate. Is going to defeat Alan Kyerematen. The party is rallying behind him. All the arguments are in his favor. Now, if he is able to go into a seat where the MPP, MPP didn't have it, and he can win one seat on the first by-election since the hung parliament. This is the first by-election since the, well, it's not the first by-election. The first one will be Kumewu, which is coming up soon. Since the hung parliament, Kumewu is a safe seat, so that's not a contest. This will be the first real by-election contestable since the hung parliament. And he's touting himself. He's going to be leading the MPP's efforts, really, clearly. He's going to be the one leading the MPP's efforts into their place. There's a bit of a Muslim area there as well. That's significant. So all is on Alhaji Bawumia. So this is how we call it between Alhaji Bawumia and the Bawumia can do with a draw. John Mahama needs to win. So what is a draw in politics? I'll come to that later. But hear me out. On Asin North, Bawumia can do with a draw because an NDC seat already anyway. So if there's a draw, okay, NDC is their seat anyway. We close the gap. Bawumia can do with a draw. John Mahama has to win. He can't do with a draw. So we'll see what happens in that contest. Who are the other? Alan Kyerematen is here. Now, Alan Kyerematen and his supporters present him as an Ashanti region candidate, of course. They always do that. But they don't stop to say that he's also Central region. They don't stop to say that. Alan Kyerematen has started his campaigns. It's going well, I hear. This is a Central region seat. Where are you, Chief? You said you are Central region. Deliver this for us before we talk about the big one. Let us eat before we go to Cana. We will not go to Cana on hungry stomach. We are going to Cana, but give us food right now in the wilderness. Otherwise, the Cana, you can keep it. That's what they are going to tell him. This is Central region. You say you are Central region. Lead your team. Deliver it for the MPP, and they will come and say, hey, but for the Alan people who wouldn't have won this thing, the work they did. Charlie, ask for that Asin North there. You have to give it to the Alan people. They really did that work. That's if that testimony comes out of Asin North and the MPP has won and they say it's the Alan people, credit to him. He becomes pole position. Okay, let's see who else. Hey, yeah, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Now he's the McCoy of by-elections. He knows how to do by-elections. That is his area. That's his territory. That's his forte. He's become chairman of the party. This is a seat the NDC has. He's similar to John Mahama, but John Mahama's own the stakes for John Mahama is higher than it is for Asiedu Nketia. But Asiedu Nketia also has significant interest. He's quite well invested in this matter, and he will have to deliver the seat for the NDC. Okay, yes. So I finished with the key people. I was going to add the MPP party hierarchy and all of that, but I didn't include Nana Akufo-Addo because he's preparing for his retirement and he's just focusing on IMF and World Bank and being sure that all of those things will happen. Okay, so that's the end of the story. Let's see whether I have some text messages. And then on the IMF, we won't do much. We don't have much to say. We'll take the video of the IMF lady announcing it. We'll take that video later on. We're not taking the video now. We'll take it later on. I'm just saying that when we come to IMF, we'll do that. So let's see. Text messages. What do we have on text messages?
From Akoto Emmanuel, Paul, please, if Supreme Court says Judge Quayson is not fit as a parliamentarian and that he should be expunged from all records of the parliament, then his vote in the speakership should be declared null and void. Coming from...
Hold it, Fatih. Let me look at this. I just slipped this one and they just sent it to me. It's very important. We need to include it in the... So this is the Asin North data analysis here. This is Asin North data analysis of what has happened. So here is 2016. So the presidential for 2016, interesting, Nana Akufo-Addo in 2016 got 14,143 and he defeated John Dramani Mahama who got 12,066. So that was in 2016. Then in 2020, Nana Akufo-Addo of the MPP got 16,067. And again defeated John Mahama. So it's a skirt and blouse constituency. Very interesting. Nana Akufo-Addo again defeated John Mahama, where John Mahama got 15,000. So it was just about 1,000 difference in the presidential elections. And the parliamentary election in 2014 and 2016 had also parliamentary election in 2016. I'm yet to look at that. So this is 2020. 2020 was closer than 2016, but both were won by Nana Akufo-Addo of the NPP. Now, in 2016 Parliament, MPP was represented by Abena Drowa Mensah. She got 15,000, and NDC Ambre Samuel got 10,000. So the seat was carried in 2016 by the New Patriotic Party, the NPP. And then in 2020, the same Abena Drowa Mensah, who was the incumbent at the time then, competed against James Quayson. And now Abena Drowa Mensah earns 14,193. And James Quayson appears to have been popular, moving the NDC vote from 10,000 to 17,000. Never mind maybe additional voters, but even with that, you can still see a certain increase. Move the NDC vote from 10,000 to 17,000. James Quayson must be kind of popular, and he gained a difference of 3,300. Now, this is what is on trial. It's going to be on political trial in the by-election. What's on political trial in the by-election is the NDC's majority of 3,305. Will the NPP be able to assail that? But it's an open constituency, really. Nana Akufo-Addo has won the elections there, presidential elections in both 2016 and 2020, and the NDC had lost in 2016 and won in 2020. So it will not be surprising if it flips, but it's an open constituency. It's still for John Mahama to win and for Bawumia to draw. I think that's how we conclude on this one. Let me go back to you, Fatih. One message.
All right, so coming from Alhaji Bob Sidi, Paul, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to know if this MP has been receiving salaries and allowances in Parliament. If yes, he should be made to refund all the monies he has received as an illegal MP. From day one, we all knew he can't survive the court case, but seriously adamant. And lastly, from Okai, Paul, why equate Adamu Sakende's case to Judge Quayson? Did Adamu renounce his citizenship on becoming MP like Mr. Quayson did?
Okay, so Charles Adu says, Paul, keep the good work up. I think so far so good with your facts and analysis. Honorable Quayson, in my opinion, knew the consequences of his action as at the time he was failing, yet, because of the NDC's impunity, he thought that he could sail through, thanks to our knowledgeable Supreme Court judges, all the way from Nsawam. In Shuraba, Anelka, watching us from Ashaiman constituency, says, if the minority said that they are not happy with the judgment from the Supreme Court on the Asin North MP's case, I pity the NDC. They should rather have asked Honorable Haruna Idrisu what he said to him on the floor of Parliament, and I quote, let him swear and bear the consequences later. So why are they crying now? Francis Tosu says, Paul, please equally charge DMB to also deliver Asin North in the coming fourth by-election. Della James says, stop dragging Kennedy Agyapong into the Asin North by-election. Kennedy has no clout in Asin North. The NDC will win any by-election in Asin North. Right. Master Planner Junior Kintampo, lastly, he says, Honorable Quayson should not be allowed to run the upcoming by-elections. I remember Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the then minority leader on the day of the elections of the Speaker, said, and I quote, let him vote and he will face any consequences in the future. I think he has been misled by his incompetent NDC party. Over to you, Nana B.
All right, this is coming from Felix Donko. He says that the indefatigable Paul, the credible journalist who uses facts as a spell on even those who dislike him to the extent that they find time out of their busy schedule to listen to him. Paul, you are so blessed. This is coming from Nanama. He says that Ghana currently now need a leader who's patriotic politician, who is honest, disciplined, modest, caring, selfless, compassionate for ordinary Ghanaians, fearless, radical, who built wealthy for himself, or ready to forward this country. And Honorable Ken Ohene Agyapong stand tall among all the aspirants. This one is coming from Felix Caleb. He says that, Mr. Paul, God richly bless you for speaking the truth always. Truly, it is possible. Over to you, Mikhail.
Right, so from Koforido, we have Kili Billy, and he says, hi, Pastor Paul, indeed, I love your show. Davis, watching us from the UK, says, good evening, Paul, great analysis. Please, may I know what happens to payments he received, he being Honorable Judge Quayson. May I know what happens to payments he received as emoluments within the period? And entry, Bosiako Francis says, so is everything about winning the next election? Ghana. Now, Derek Nyame says, Kennedy will win his primaries and the general elections 2024. It is time we need such leadership of bravery to take strong decisions and create jobs for the Ghanaian people. Vote for a PhD that creates jobs, not one that gives long speeches. And lastly, Nana Kwame Boateng says, good evening, Paul. The NPP is unfazed with John Mahaba's re-election as NDC flag bearer. That position is what he can occupy, but not the presidency. He ends by saying Dr. Aremeyaw will, inshallah, be the next president. Back to you.
Okay, that's interesting. We don't have much to say about the IMF issue, do we? Kenneth Furata says that we shouldn't be excited just yet. So we will, however, report the IMF issue by just showing you this video. This is what, some of you may have seen it already anyway, but this is what the IMF boss said in the video that was published worldwide.
Congratulations to Ghana for a strong program of reforms to revitalize growth and reduce the country's debt burden. I'm very pleased that the IMF Executive Board has approved today a 3-year, $3 billion support for this program. We are proud to be partners with Ghana in addressing the difficult economic and financial conditions the country is facing. Today's decision is also a major milestone for the G20 Common Framework. The commitment by the Official Creditors Committee to help make Ghana's debt sustainable was essential for the approval of the funds program, and it signals important progress in the G20 Common Framework. The decision our board has taken is the beginning of the work we will do together with the authorities of Ghana for the implementation of the program for the benefit of the people of Ghana.
Okay, so that's what the IMF boss said. Now let's help you viewers with this system that you have to have. You see, you have to enjoy the fruits of your labor, but as human beings, aging and physical infirmity stand in our way. It often becomes a challenge, if not impossible, on our stairway. So this is a system that's designed to walk you around the house, run you around, put you in the elevator, take you up, take you through everywhere. It's a simple to use self-support elevator for vertical movement. It is itself an elevator, it can take you up. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with a wheelchair as well. Now, you are listening to me and you've heard what I'm saying, but look, watch this video and this is how it works. This is how this system works. And then I'll tell you, if you want to get the system, call them on 0200 535 515, 0200 535 515. Here it is.
Humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200 535 515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Yes, it's the elevator people. Okay, viewers, one of our team members, Abdul, is leaving us. He's going to Belgrade to study. He's going to do a master's, and by the time he comes, he'll be too known. Let's give Abdul an applause. Abdul has done well. Abdul, so what are you going to study?
I'm going to Belgrade.
Belgrade, yes. But that's near Ukraine, no?
Well.
What language are you going to be instructed in?
Serbian.
Serbian language?
Yes.
So you have to learn that for how long?
For 5 months. But you can apply for the program to be taught in English as well.
But you don't want to be taught in English?
Well, I want to learn a different language. I'll combine the two.
Very interesting. So what subject are you going to learn?
International relations.
International relations?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to learn the relations between Ghana, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire and all that?
But on a larger scale.
I see. Okay. All right. God be with you. We'll be praying for you, and then we'll be doing Zoom with you. When the story breaks, then we'll do Zoom with you so that... Will you take Antoinette along?
Well, if she will go, she speaks fluent Chinese, so...
She will go, you take her along? For what?
Will you go, Patty? If you go, why not? Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, viewers, thanks for joining us on Good Evening Ghana this week. It's always a pleasure to bring it to you. And by the grace of God, we'll meet again on Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Mene kwaku owusu ajay pato abrasamadu katawiri wosobrobo mensa kwaku abridi abrada sumaya echimpani echimofra ere ajine be kasa problem e wo nyina ne say yetimi wo say problem wo manum na ye problems ne nkofo de ye business enti da bia kwan on person ye ne say on person problems ne ka ho na mo adwe nya o say ye betena be keka nsam e be ma otirimu aye ode de hia be bo my Ghana ho nkomo ene e ba bedie ya bre obi aba no aba be kan de obi aba no aba be kan de ere de nya sa de be ni bio ye ni abere ya be kan se de sitie bia ama what de se de sitie me kura de mi nanka de send the bluetooth bia ma obroni be say no matter whose ox is God ya be kan ho asem de be de every area no me no kopum say be bono nsia agene kasa on original 91.9 FM I answer for you.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Has Christianity always been one of the religions in the world to you?
Oh, hallelujah. Praise God. Christianity is not a religion, neither is it a joining of a church and doing the Christian things like praying and giving and so on. Hallelujah. Christianity is the outworking of God's own kind of life received into the spirit of a man. Whoa! This divine life in the heart of a man makes him righteous, keeps him healthy, divinely guided in life, prosperous and victorious. It gives you the ability to enjoy intimate fellowship with the Father and have dominion on this earth. Hallelujah. This is what awaits you if you will wholeheartedly believe that Jesus is the Son of God raised from the dead and personally confess him as the Lord of your life. Glory to God.
Hallelujah. Join Dr. David Binder on the Good Life Devotion every Monday to Friday on this channel and receive truth that will usher you into exhibiting the divine life.
Kindly note that you can enjoy the Good Life Devotion on these other platforms at their stated times. Do choose the most convenient one for you or switch to another in case of a broadcast challenge with your usual platform, by all means, don't miss the Good Life devotion any day. Now, welcome to today's episode with Dr. David Bindan.
Wow, glory to God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. It's such a joy once again to welcome you to today's special episode of our favorite Good Life devotion. In the name of our Lord Jesus, I bring to you peace and grace on every facet of your life, even as we receive truth in this episode. Hallelujah. Praise God. Good. So this is a week that we have been dealing with the subject of moving on to know God for yourself. The fact that, yes, we all believe there is God. Hebrews 11:6 says that he that cometh to God must believe that he is. So everyone who is a Christian believes there's God. Okay? But there's a difference between knowing that there is God and then knowing this God that there is. Many know there is God, and they are conducting their lives about through activities that are supposed to make them know and work with this God, and yet they don't know the God. So their work with God is reduced to a practice of the religiosity in Christianity. You know, Christianity has some religious aspect to it. They're going to church, they're praying, they're going out to do the work of the ministry. These are aspects of the religion aspect. But there is a relationship upon which the religious acts are based. Because Christianity in itself is not a religion. It's not just a doing of certain activities to appease a deity somewhere. No. It is a practical walk and expression of a